All right, I want to do a quick video. I'm going to entitle this video Police Are Demons. Now, first of all, I want to start off with saying that when you become a police officer or when you sign up for the U.S. military, you have to sign a contract with the devil. Of course, this devil being, the United States, right? Because we know, the devil is in rulership, right? Like, say, for instance, America's slogan is "In God We Trust." Those of us who are awake, we know that God that they're talking about is actually the devil. That's the God that they serve and worship, right? They don't actually follow the Bible. Hell, like, in the past, you might have had a president come out and say, well, the Bible's the law of the land. But yet, when they make the law of the land, they throw the Bible's laws, statutes, and commandments out the window, and they make up their own guidelines and regulations. So when they use the Bible, it's a Ponzi scheme, right? It's a scheme to play on the minds of the simple-minded, right? The gullible sheeple out here in this society. Like, oh, well, it says "In God We Trust" in the national anthem, or the slogan of America, right? A nation under God. So obviously that's the God of the Bible. It's like, well, first of all, being a scholar myself, when you read the Bible, the only nation that God is dealing with is the nation of Israel. So where the hell in the Bible did it say that God was going to bless America? Like, where the hell is that at in the Bible? Because as far as I know, God said that he put Israel above all other nations on earth, right? Deuteronomy 28, verse 1, Deuteronomy, what is that, 14:7, if I'm not mistaken? Among a few other, areas, he told Israel that he put them above all other nations on the earth. So where the hell does it say he put the United States above all other nations as far as dealing with them before the other nations? That's not in there. Christ also said that you can only serve one master, right? You'll serve the one and you'll hate the other, right? You'll love the one and you'll hate the other. So you can't on one hand serve God, but then on the other hand serve the enemy. You can't do that, man. So, a police officer, there can't be such a thing as a righteous police officer. There can't be because, first of all, when they signed up for that office, they joined hands with the enemy. They say, yes, I make a vow with the United States, to defend against all adversaries, foreign and domestic, right? Meaning what? Overseas and in the country itself. They make a vow to the United States. So they make a vow to the enemy. They say, yes, Satan, I will obey what you say. I will defend the United States. That's what every police officer must vow when they get that badge, right? That's their duty to their nation. So a police officer cannot be righteous. I mean, this is just a fact. It's really not arguable. You see people all the time like, oh yeah, I believe. But then if you look at their, what they do for work, dude's working in a damn courthouse or a damn police officer. It's like, well, guess what? You don't actually believe the Bible because if you did, you would know that the Bible says you can only serve one master, right? You'll love the one and you hate the other. So when you make a vow to the United States to defend her and, uplift her legislation and to defend it, you're making a vow against God. Like, say, for instance, the police officers are the ones who are keeping us enslaved, right? They're the ones keeping us enslaved to our masters, being the U.S. government. Right? If you act out of line, then you get checked. Shit, sometimes you get checked in, right, to some of these asylums or, jail cells they have out here, right? So, again, these are the enforcers. These are the enemies. These are not people that we're supposed to respect and show honor towards. No, 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 no. We're supposed to show disrespect to these people. Now, I'm not saying, just hear me out, I'm not saying to go out there and, cause harm to anybody, but I'm just saying that we shouldn't sit here and say, yes, officer, I respect you. Like, nah, you're a dumbass if you think that. You're siding with your enemy. Right? Hey, the Bible says a friend of the world is an enemy with God. So if you claim to be friends with, the U.S., Army or people on the force, then you are an enemy of God. And this is just a fact. It's really not deniable. This is what the Bible says. Say for instance, some people will tell me, well, yeah, there might be, a couple of bad apples out there, but you can't label every officer as bad. It's like, okay, So, by that same line of logic, are you going to be consistent with yourself? Let me ask you a question. Are there any good Russian soldiers in Ukraine? Most people would say me, no, they're all scum and pigs and deserve what happens to them. That's what the average American would say. It's like, okay, for the very few who say there are a few good ones, well, what about the Germans in World War II? I'm not going to use the exact word because YouTube doesn't like that, but you know what I'm talking about, right? World War II, the Germans. So were any of them good? Obviously, everybody will say no. So by what form of logic would it be a leap of logic to say that there's no good police officers? And then the officers say, hey, look, I don't make the law, I just enforce it. So what about in World War II, right? The Germans, they might have said, hey, look, I don't make the rules, I'm just enforcing it. So you'll let the officers go with a pat on the back, but if the Germans give the same excuse for their actions, you wouldn't accept it. So it's like, isn't that clear hypocrisy? That the police officers can do heinous things and, set people up and put people in bars, for years of their life for doing petty things. And the only excuse is, hey, I don't make the rules, I just enforce it. And they get a pat on the back and paid vacation time. Like, I'll give you an example. Anybody remember what happened to this guy, George Floyd, a couple of years ago? What happened to the officers when they killed that dude? They got paid vacation, right? So the government paid them to sit on their ass at home for a couple weeks or a couple months while the situation and the public outrage died down. Right? So shit, they got rewarded for killing that dude with a damn vacation. Paid vacation, by the way. So again, I just think a lot of people are just very gullible and ignorant, and they're not capable of realizing these things. The police officers are not good. And in fact, I also want to show that they're bullies. For one, they hunt in packs, right? Like, say, for instance, if you see them on the side of the street, there's always two of them that pull somebody over, which I know why they do it, for their safety. But I want to point something out, though. Doesn't that prove that they're weak and are little ballless boys, though, because they have to hunt in packs? Like, one officer can't go to a damn car they pull over and, go to the person to, ask for ID and registration by themselves. They have to get three of them to go there to make sure something doesn't happen. It's like, wait, so what the hell is all the point of all that training for all of you if you need three of you dudes to just pull over a 90-year-old grandma? Like seriously, like what the hell is all this training going towards if y'all don't have the balls to do your service by yourself? You need your other buddies to join in on the action. Like, seriously, can somebody explain that to me? Like, what's the point of making all of you go through this, weeks of training if none of you can by yourself perform that training without your buddies? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any damn sense, if you logically think about it. So I want to show also, the police, they're keeping all of us in slavery to the elites, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, there's like, what, 100,000 police officers, if I'm not mistaken, across the United States. So 100,000 of them to have control over 350 million of us average people. Like, there's literally no comparison. But again, people will just go along. Hey, we obey, right? On one hand, Americans will say, yes, I'm such a free American. But on the other hand, they'll brag about being a law-abiding citizen. Well, dummy, it's like, how on one hand could you be free, but on the other hand, brag about being a servant to a ruling class? That shows a lot of people out here are brainwashed and are not capable of thinking for themselves. Oh, like, I'm so free. I'm such a freedom-loving American. But then 2 minutes later, like, I obey whatever I'm told. It's like, what type of dumbass? You know what I'm saying? And that's the average person out here. Or that's the average person. It's really remarkable to me. Now, I will say this, though. It's possible to leave the force, and then you could be a true follower of God. We have people who were in the past police officers that, got laid off or, quit and then believed, and then they can be saved. But you can't be saved while you're actively on the force. You can't fight against God and be part of God at the same time. Just like you can't live in sin and be holy at the same time. So again, if you're an officer, you made a vow to the enemy, so you can't be righteous. Now it's possible for you to leave that office and become righteous, but while you're living in that office currently, you can't be. I mean, this is very basic and simple to explain and break down here. So I just wanted to go on a little bit of a rant real quick. I hope that was edifying, and I'm going to say shalom.